When you're in the process of breaking generational curses, you have to understand exactly where things come from in order for you to be able to break that energetic connection. It's really not a curse. It's an energy that's been passed down. Let's get into it. Because we know that many are called, few are chosen, and even fewer are crowned. I'm in the process of doing something that's going to be so spectacular with my family, and I cannot wait until it's complete. When it's complete, I am absolutely going to be floored at what the results are, because I can just see it. So what am I talking about? I am absolutely finding out the things that my great grandparents experienced. Sitting here talking to my mom over the last few days, and I've been taking some content, collecting some information from her so that I can put this project together. Now, my mother told me a lot of things that I really, really, really didn't even know. Like a lot of things we actually do have in common. Never knew that. Although my siblings have told me that I was a Bertha Jr. I never saw it, but I really did, but I didn't. But now I have. She liked to write. #1 best-selling author. Me. She loves taking care of kids. Who's the mother of 6 kids? Me. She had 13, so she beat me with that one. Not that it's a competition, but she related to older people. When I was a lifeguard, I loved working my senior program, teaching them water aerobics. And then when I had my own personal training business, I worked with seniors because that's what I was passionate about. We actually had a lot in common. But what was fascinating to me was to find out that her mother, which was my grandma, was a domestic worker for a white family. And inside that family home, my mother and her mother, my grandmother, they lived there. Now, I always saw that on the movies, but I didn't know that shit was real. Now, mind you, I'm 49. My mother's 89. So if my grandma was still living, she would be, I think, 108. So imagine her mom, if she was still alive, she would probably be, 140 something, 150 something. I don't know. We're just throwing numbers out. And my great-grandfather would probably be 150. So just keep that in mind. So to find out my mother, who separated from my grandpa, which was my granddaddy Bill, my mom's dad, they separated. He went to the army. He came back. He wanted to go to Chicago. My granny, didn't want to go, so she stayed down south. My grandpa went to Chicago, and that's how they split up. And that led my grandma to going to the domestic house to make her money. Now, my mother told me she picked cotton. To me, that's a slave. Now, they said slavery ended in 1846, 47, 45, one of those, whatever, with the Emancipation Proclamation and all this other stuff. But if you picking cotton, that's still some slave shit to me. And if you a domestic worker in somebody's house and you taking care of the white kids, that's slavery to me. It just was not called that, I guess. But anyway, I digress. So anyway, finding out that my grandma was a domestic worker in this family, then my mother, growing up, she was a domestic worker. She worked at hotels and housekeeping, domestic work. So it wasn't the slave master's house that you were working, but in a sense, it was the hotel. It's not your house that you're cleaning up. Lo and behold, years later, and years ago now, this was probably about 10 years ago, I started a cleaning company, domestic work. Now, granted, man was on the entrepreneurial side, but still, I was down there cleaning homes. And now as I'm making this video, it's making absolute sense to me why I got that call to let all of those businesses that I had going to pursue what I'm doing now. Literally, it just clicked in my head. Because that cleaning, even though I was making good money cleaning houses, and even though it was a business, my assignment is to break generational curses. So I can't be a domestic worker. So I began to lose interest, and I eventually shut down the cleaning company because I did have some staff and I had to make sure that they was straight, before I let the business go. I had uniform shirts. I had literally, it was a real cleaning company. But something deep down inside of me, the way the clients would treat me, especially the non-black ones, I'll say, they were treating me as if I was the slave and they was the slave master. I noticed that. And for me, my rebellious self, 444, as I say that on the clock, we not doing none of that. Look, I call myself the Harriet Tubman of this generation. We're not doing none of that. So again, eventually, I closed that cleaning business. But it reminds me now, again, as I talk to my mother, that's a generational curse. It's a generational energy to think that I needed to do domestic work, which was not very appealing to make my money. But it gets deeper. It even got to the point where I even figured out when the men leave, you're no good. Therefore, you have to deal with men to be able to provide for yourself. If not, you're going to struggle. Because my grandma struggled after that, but then she ended up getting with my mom's stepdad, Pawpaw, and they was good. My mother told me she grew up rich. She didn't have no problems. Her grandfather was rich. Her Pawpaw had money. My granddaddy Bill had money too, but Granny didn't want to go to Chicago. And I still have yet to figure out why my mother didn't go to Chicago. So I think it's some disconnect between her and her father too. I don't know. Another generational curse that I'm definitely about to break and find out. But I say all of that to say this. When you are in the healing process, you have to absolutely see what it is that you are trying to heal from. Because you'll go on a cycle of all types of things thinking that you're trying to do one thing, and you're going to really discover that you're actually healing a lot of other things. Now, me and my mother, we don't have the best relationship. But since I've been doing this research and talking to her and interviewing her, it's actually breaking those cycles of disconnect between her and I, which has been an issue between us for years. So maybe, again, me healing wasn't about me healing. It was actually about my mother healing, which I actually eventually said it would probably be. Because when I'm asking her those questions and she's answering them, oh my God, if you could see her face, how much it lights her up. I appreciate this project, and I'm definitely not done with it. And prayerfully, she's living when it's done so that I can show her the end results of it. Because my role here, and I know it is to break generational curses, because it is time out for us living like we used to live and how our people used to live when we don't have to. I am tired of carrying burdens that are not mine. I am tired of passing down things that we don't need to pass down. And I'm ready to break those generational curses. So again, if you are going through a healing process, you're probably the black sheep, because the energy as a collective is for those who are chosen ones, who are it's time to awaken, and it's time to lead the people who need that awakening. So there are people who are going through tumultuous things right now so that they can learn how to help other people in the future. Or you have already gone through it, and now it's time for you to step up and stand your post and do your thing. It's time for you to stand up and do your thing. It's time to stand up and do your thing. But again, when you're going through the healing process, you're going to experience so many things. And I hope this video helps you to understand that don't be afraid to face what's behind you, because what's behind you, once you face it and see that it does not serve a purpose anymore, you can catapult to ahead of you. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know if you're going through a spiritual awakening process and this is something that you know that you need to do. It's time for you to step up to a new reality and walk divinely in your purpose.